Shabbat Shalom, everybody. This is Rabbi Stephen, Rabbi Steve, Rabbi Shmuel. I like the Hebrew name. With this week's 10-minute Torah. Very interesting portion, and we're going to get right into it. It's Parashat Vayeitzei, and we're with Jacob now, and he has departed from Haran to Beersheba, and he's kind of en route. So Jacob, Yaakov, right now, is basically homeless. He's a vagabond. He is penniless, or maybe for our purposes, he's shekelless. And if you remember, he was escaping his home from the wrath of Esau, who saw him as basically stealing his birthright. Now, we know that Esau traded his birthright for a pot of lentils. And it really, and as the Torah says, he basically spurned his birthright. Jacob, however, saw the value in this. However, again, for whatever reason, and you can judge how you want, Esau was very bitter about this. So Rebekah said, "Look, you need to leave. I do not want to see my two sons kill each other over this birthright. So go back to my brother Laban's house, and go there." So it's interesting. Think about this. Jacob had nothing. Now, yes, he was en route. He had a destination. He had some place to go, but to pick up and just leave. And it's interesting how the lives of the patriarchs seem to mimic each other. Abraham was told by Hashem, I want you to leave your home, your family. I want you to go to a place you've never been before, a place you do not know, and I'll let you know when you get there. A lot of faith. And of course, Jacob is en route, and he lays down at night, puts his head on a rock, and he has a dream. Angels going, there was a ladder, angels going up from earth and coming down from earth. And as I heard one Chabad rabbi discuss it, the angels were going up the ladder from earth first and then coming down from the ladder second. So what does that mean? Angels are among us. They're God's messengers. They're watching over us, etc., etc. How many of us have felt very insecure in life? We don't know where we're going. We don't know what we're doing, or we're making plans. We don't know if we're going to get there. And it almost seems like in the Torah, of course, they were patriarchs. They were right under the watchful eye, or if you will, of Hashem. And as Jacob's having this dream, angels going up and down, God tells him, go where you're going to go, and I will watch over you, and your descendants, your children, will be great nations. So it still took a lot of faith. So Jacob, again, homeless, penniless, is going to Laban. And once he gets there, of course, he gets to a well, which is not just the place where you water your flocks, but it's also a meeting place of sorts. And he encounters Rachel, and it's love at first sight. She takes him home, finds out that, yes, this is where I was supposed to go, and he wants to marry her. And Laban sees him, and of course, at first he's thinking, or shekel signs, if you will, because remember, when Eliezer came to find a wife for Isaac, his sister, he had 10 camels laden with goods. Jacob, not so much. It's basically just him. So Laban says, okay, work for me for 7 years. And after that, I'll give you Rachel with her hand in marriage. Jacob works for him for 7 years. And instead of Rachel, he sees this form, this woman, she's veiled, she's got a dress on. They go through a wedding, and he takes her as his wife. Next thing you know, it's Leah, her older sister. And Jacob, of course, is absolutely flabbergasted. He's indignant. He told me I'd take Rachel. And Laban's like, well, you've got to know our customs here, that the older girl gets married before the younger girl, the older daughter before the married daughter. But hey, go through your week of marriage ceremony. Go through your week, and consummate your marriage, and then you can marry Rachel. Back then, there was no issues with having more than one wife, especially two sisters. So, as Jacob starts to get involved with Laban, and he works for him for 7 years. He gets deceived by marrying Leah, and then he goes through the week of marriage consummation, his honeymoon, if you will, and then he marries Rachel. There's a lot of sages that say, look, there's a lot of karma, if you will, going on here. And yes, in Judaism, traditional Judaism believes in reward and punishment. You do good, you get good. You do bad, you get bad. So they feel that, well, Jacob and Rebekah deceived Isaac and Esau, and now it's basically coming back to him. And yet, God has come to Jacob and said, go and complete your journey, and I will make of you great nations. So do we have kind of a conflict here? On the one hand, some people say, well, he's getting what he deserves, and Rebecca really doesn't get to see him again. She loses her favorite child, and that's her punishment for having deceived Isaac. And yet, here's Jacob about to become the father of our nation, right? When we say Israelite, what does Israelite mean? And a lot of people confuse Israeli with Israelite. An Israeli is a citizen of the country of Israel, the modern country of Israel. An Israelite, and we're getting a little ahead of ourselves, I know, but Jacob gets the name Israel. And Israelite is someone who's descended from Jacob. That's the distinction. So, how is it that he's getting his punishment or his karma for deception, and yet he becomes the leader of a nation? I'll give you my opinion how we resolve this. Because again, even though this is happening, Jacob ends up a vagabond, homeless, and by the end of the portion, he's got 4 wives, or 2 and 2 half wives or concubines, however you want to look at it. He's got 12 kids, 11 sons, and Dinah, and of course he's about to get his 12th son on the journey in the next portion when Benjamin is born to Rachel. So how do we resolve this? Here's the way I think of it, okay? In the Talmud, in the first tractate, which is called Bechorot, which is blessings, and I know the page number, it's 5, and the daf, which is, there's 2 dafs to a page, the front side and the back side, or top or bottom. At the end of 5, Berachot, 5a, and at the beginning of 5b, the rabbis, the sages, address the issue of why bad things happen to good people. And one of the takeaways is that sometimes a bad thing has to happen to you to spur you to change your path or your action so that good things can happen. Here's a classic example. You have a businessman who's very, very intent on making money in business, and he's always involved in his work, and he works 20 hours a day, and of course he doesn't take care of himself, or she doesn't, however you want to look at it. The person doesn't take care of themselves. They don't get a lot of sleep. They run themselves ragged. They eating a lot of junk food, a lot of fast food that doesn't have a lot of nutrition but has a lot of calories. They're overweight. They're not in good shape. Next thing you know, they're in a meeting. Their left arm starts to go numb. They collapse. They're having a heart attack. So they're taken to the hospital. Maybe they do some surgery. Whatever they do, they put a stent in. They clean it up. Goes to the doctor. The doctor says, look, you're on a path to death. So all the stuff you're working for, you're not going to get a chance to enjoy it because you're going to be dead. So you got to change your lifestyle. So what you need to do is you need to start eating better. You need to exercise. You need to get more rest. So the person follows the doctor's advice because, after all, the doctor is the expert. And they follow the doctor's advice. They lose weight. They have more energy. They get better sleep. They're able to do more in less time, more efficient. They're happier, healthier. So it took that heart attack, that medical emergency, for them to change their lifestyle and lead a better life. So consider that these challenges that Jacob had, comes in, he's homeless, he's penniless, ends up after the portion, he's got 4 wives, he's got 12 kids, the 11 sons and Dinah, the daughter, he's wealthy. Maybe that needed to happen for him to get to this point. Who knows? So Having said that, let me change gears a little bit. On my website, I get notified when people are on my website, and it seems like there's a lot of activity. And I just want to extend a big thank you and gratitude to those of you that are visiting my website. I'm humbled that you want to look at it. I'm humbled that more and more people are looking at my YouTube, at these podcasts or YouTube casts, as you will, and are listening. You're giving me feedback, and I'm really, I just feel, I'm speechless. It's wonderful. Thank you so much. If you go on my website, and for this you have to become a member, there's a forum. And if you ever want to discuss something, some people put notes in the YouTube, some people send me messages. Always happy to have a discussion. I don't use the forum part of my website enough, but if you'd like to engage in a discussion, I'm always happy to have that. Of course, we do our Torah studies Monday night. If you'd like to get involved and you're not already on the list, let me know. Again, just want to say thank you, and basically an early Shabbat Shalom.